Straw Hut Media.
Hello, lover. Or shall I say lovers? Hello, everybody. Hope you're all having a great Pride Month, and I hope this episode is just the cherry on top of those Pride marches and celebrations. This is Release Date Rewind, or shall I say Premiere Date Rewind, since we're discussing another favorite TV show today. And I'm your host, Mark J. Parker, a filmmaker and film and TV lover. This podcast from Straw Hut Media celebrates milestone anniversaries in entertainment, and we're continuing the June theme of Game Changers. 25 years ago, in June 1998, HBO changed the game and gave us a hilarious and heartwarming R-rated sitcom called Sex and the City, and the Big Apple was never the same. Truly, I mean, those Sex and the City tours were all the rage. Everyone thought NYC was so glamorous. From the zany Patricia Field wardrobe, which, P.S., I went to her studio in New York years ago when I worked with Extra, and it was a wild time, wow. To Bobby Cannavale's funky spunk, to Tatum O'Neal not caring about Carrie's missing Manolos, this series gave us tons of memorable, rewatchable moments. My friends and I are going to discuss the original series plus its movies and spin-off series. So, heads up, here come the spoilers. You can catch all the episodes and movies on Max in the US. All right, my friends, order a round of Cosmos and throw on your Carrie Bradshaw tutus because it's time to rewind. I'm going to do my best Carrie Bradshaw voice right now. I didn't really think too much about this line, so it might not be that amazing, but you guys might get a kick out of it. Okay. And just like that, I was with some old friends who took a break from their new children to talk to me about Sex and the City. It's okay. It's not great. It's okay.
We love it.
I love it.
Right? New and old, get it? And like children and, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. Because everybody, I am here with my pals that I've known for decades who are now moms. They've been moms for a while. You already know one of them has been a mom for a while. But this other guest, this is her first, she's debuting as a mom on Release Date Rewind. So everybody, please welcome back Melissa Ward and Sarah Menequal. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Hi.
Mom's night in.
Mom's night in. Yes, cheers to that. Sarah and I are at least having a glass. Mel is being a Miranda, or I don't know. Is that more of a Charlotte? I
Sorry,
don't know.
do you mean Miranda?
Yeah.
I only recognize Steve's pronunciation.
Miranda.
Miranda.
Real quick, since you just brought up Steve, Sarah, I like Steve, but is that a hot take? Do you guys like Steve?
I love
What do you
I
think?
never
You-
liked
oh,
him
okay.
until Just Like That, I guess.
Really?
Whoa.
Where I thought
Recent.
he looked. I never liked him. I always thought, I was like, ew, why is this guy on a
Okay.
TV show?
Oh,
Based on his
really?
looks or his
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Or his speech? Okay.
Miranda.
I actually didn't really think about his speech until maybe you pointed it out just now, Sarah.
That is,
But
that is so
I
interesting.
always thought, like, well, okay, we can go into detail later about Miranda, and
we
and we're
will.
definitely going to talk about it with the first episode. But just
Oh,
like
yeah.
her dating, the
Mm.
people she dates in general. But
Yeah.
I just always thought he was a dork. Like, why would she be with him?
Mm.
Why would
Yeah.
these two people be together at all? Why would he like her?
Interesting. I actually always liked him, and wow, I
I thought he made a lot of sense for her.
yeah, and I actually thought he was really cute, but I guess Mel totally disagrees.
Well, I think he's actually very. I never thought he was cute until
until
I guess
older.
he aged more.
Yeah.
Maybe
You
that's just what
aged.
I'm into.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
now he's more of a silver fox.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
now I thought I didn't finish that Just Like That first season, but the episodes I saw, I thought he looked very handsome.
That's a great preview, everybody, for what's coming up later in the episode, because things are to get interesting when we talk about that show and Just Like That. I might have to get a refill. But no, yeah, I just threw that out there because like Greg was rewatching a little bit of season 1 with me. He's never really watched. He actually does enjoy it. He does laugh, but he's always like, oh yeah, that show, it's so cheesy. But he said, well, where's the guy that's always the glasses? And he's always like, hey. I'm like, oh, Steve. So it's funny how even like a non-viewer is like, that guy Steve, like he leaves an impression on people. So I wanted to just ask that question. But real quick, before we dive even further into this great show, let's catch up for a second, ladies. You both... Okay, so first of all, congrats, Mel. I've already congratulated Sarah on the show. She's been a mom of little Josie for, how old is Josie now? Like a year?
15 months tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Wow, Sarah. Oh my gosh. Well, happy month birthday to
Thank you.
Josie. And Mel, tell us about Gigi. She's how many months now?
She's
6?
almost 6.
Wow.
Yeah, she's a wild one. She's teething. But yeah, she's cutie pie. She's rolling, being crazy.
Oh my God.
So cute.
Yeah.
The
Just
cutest.
waiting for her to get to the point where she can sit up so we can, I don't know. I
Don't leave
feel
her
like we
alone.
can do more
You can drink Cosmos and not near each other.
without her keeling over immediately.
Now,
It is such a big
But
milestone.
I have her, she's here with me.
is she here? Yeah, with the eyes? The hills have eyes?
Well, yeah. So the hills don't have eyes at the moment, but when she wakes up,
Thank God.
Wow, I'm so happy for you guys. I've told Sarah on the show, like, it's amazing. Now, Sarah, tell us, I've asked you this before, but since we're talking about motherhood, now that Josie's about to be 15 months, how has life changed since the last time you were on the show? Any updates? Is it pretty much the same? I mean, Josie's like a little teenager already.
She is.
How have things progressed in your life?
So she is running. And she's learned the word no. So things have gotten really interesting.
things have escalated.
Things have escalated. I am no longer the captain of this ship. I'll put it that way. We are running
She's
one
the captain
person's
now.
programming, and it is Josie's. But it's really cool. She's talking. She's got like a really good sense of language and picking up words like crazy.
Send us videos of her.
I
chit-chatting
will.
with you.
I will.
I know,
It's
it's
just
been a little
hard
while.
to now pull out my camera and record her because she's fucking nuts.
Fast, yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but it's super fun. I love it. It just is like, whoa. It used to be like so controllable. And
Oh
docile.
God.
And like she is now just the reason I was a little bit late is because she would not get out of the tub. And like
She just loved being in the water.
Wanted to be in the water, and I kept being like, all right,
that's cute,
like 2-minute
though.
countdown, and she would look at me and go, no. And like, I don't know if you've ever tried to lift a soaking wet child
They're slippery.
naked child
Ooh,
out of
so slippery.
who's struggling.
Yeah.
I was like, well, then we are just going to wait until you are good and ready because I am not going to take this risk.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
But
Wow.
it is really, really fun. I love it. Like she's a little human now. We go out to dinner. We have conversations.
That's cute.
Like I have so much fun hanging out with her. It's really
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's
wow,
great.
I love that. That's very Charlotte of you, I feel like.
Is it?
Right?
I am a Samantha Sun. I would say I'm a Samantha Sun, Samantha Moon, Miranda Rising is how I identify.
A lot of people do not claim Miranda, so that's big.
I know thyself.
Yeah, no, and Sarah, I think, I mean, you could have a little bit of Carrie too, but yeah, it's actually, you're probably the least Charlotte. So yeah, I co-sign that for you, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Mel, before we ask you your breakdown, so how has your life changed? I mean, Gigi's about to be 6 months, so I mean, your life has changed a shitload.
As you guys remember, the Dawson's Creek episode,
Yes.
I had to bow out because she was just too impossible with her sleeping. So knock on
Also,
wood, that has been a lot better.
It was a big ask to bring you on only a couple
I don't even, how
weeks.
old was she? I don't
She
even
was
remember.
tiny baby.
She
Yeah,
was like
it's funny
brand
because
new.
it doesn't feel like, looking back, yeah, she was really young, but in the moment, it didn't seem like she was that young.
Yeah.
Like I thought I could have done it.
Mm.
I thought I could have made that date, but
That's all right. You
no.
were our Jen Lindley, and you were R.I.P.
mhm.
So now, Mel, I'm going to throw it over to you, like what Sarah just said. So what would you say is your breakdown of the ladies? How do they apply to you? Sun, moon, all that. What do you think?
I would say I'm probably mostly a Charlotte. But I
hmm
definitely, when I was younger, I felt like I was a Carrie, but
Oh yeah.
that's
Oh, you
probably a
You know what?
common
It's common, but
identifier. So
there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like because here's the thing, and
it doesn't
I
always, I feel kind of, I don't know, funny, I guess, saying that now, because I remember, I think it was actually when the show was originally ending, and the cast is doing all these interviews, and
oh yeah.
the guy that plays Charlotte's BFF, Anthony,
Mm-hmm.
her
hmm
wedding planner. I remember him in an interview, and he was like, all these women are always like, I'm a Carrie, I'm a Charlotte. No,
Yes.
you're not. You live in Ohio.
I
So
just
now
rewatched that, Mel. I just rewatched
you
that
did.
interview. Uh-huh.
I
Yep.
always feel kind of like, oh, I'm just a watcher, and I guess I'm no one.
But you lived in New York. You went to
Yeah.
fashion school. Of course, you're
Mhm.
a Carrie.
Totally. That's a good point. And here's the thing. I just realized it rewatching some old episodes today. A lot of people think they're a Carrie because when you think about it, think of the four. Carrie not only is the center, it's her show. It's all their shows, of course. Don't come after me, Kim Cattrall. It's all of your shows. But Carrie, we know, is the main protagonist. We hear her voiceover. She talks to the camera, which we'll talk about in a bit in those first few episodes.
Mhm.
But she is kind of the most multi-layered, like she's the sort of like straight person, if you will.
Yeah.
And the other three are all kind of caricature-y at
For sure.
times.
I
Right?
was going to
For sure.
say the exact same thing in
Yeah.
rewatching, or just thinking about the show more in depthly, like
Yeah.
preparing for this. And she really is the most normal.
Right.
But yeah, I was thinking the
Yeah.
others are more like caricatures.
Totally.
And I would say, like, as it went on, I feel like Charlotte and Miranda became a little more grounded, like a little less. I'm a caricature that's meant to show contrast in this friend group. Whereas Samantha just kind of always, and I think
She got like maybe more ridiculous.
and is it that she just couldn't act? Again, Kim Cattrall, don't come for me, but like I was like, I
We love you. It's
actually
okay.
wondering
That's
if
just
some of
really
this
nice
is-
things to say about her.
Yeah.
Yes, but I was like, I wonder if like, because like she couldn't even like do the cancer thing without being like, yeah,
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
and
Right.
like,
That's a good
she
point,
just doesn't
Sarah.
have the depth.
Mm.
Maybe that's
know-
why she stayed a caricature.
That's a really interesting take. I feel like she is good. I mean, I've seen her in a few other things. I know she had a whole career before this and, continues to pop up in things. But yeah, because you're right. With the cancer stuff, at times it did still feel like, oh, this is funny. Oh, wait, it's not. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So maybe it was just the way she was directed, or I'm sure there were
Maybe.
meetings that were like still, because, she was the fan favorite, of course,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I'm sure she was kind of like the Karen of Will and Grace, if you will.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, so like, you don't want to ever let that go. So that
Yeah.
could have also been it,
Yeah.
And hey, maybe that is why she is disenchanted with it now, because like she was never allowed out of that box.
Yes. And wow, I just realized, going back to the Karen reference, Megan Mullally versus Deborah Messing, Kim Cattrall versus SJP. Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yep.
Wow. It's that fourth person in the yeah. Okay, interesting.
Do we know what exactly the issues are between Deborah and Megan?
Not as clear
I
as
don't
we do with SJP and
Right.
Kim,
Yeah.
right? What do you
Yeah.
think,
They've
Sarah? Have
kept
you
it-
heard?
I have not heard anything. I think it was kept pretty much like under lock and key. I don't know if
They just
anyone
don't
has even.
like each other, right? It's not like a money thing where like
I really wish I remembered, and we could totally Google it. And
I think something happened though, because it was like mid-season, one of the new seasons, they just stopped filming together. They just
Yes.
no longer, and like Megan unfollowed Deborah, and like they no longer had scenes. So I want to say like it was event driven,
mm,
but
feel
nothing has
like-
ever leaked.
yeah, no, there's no clear
Tight
info,
set.
and because Megan Mullally and I guess Deborah Messing are such pros, neither is like letting any kernel come out to the public. But yes, Sarah, it happened during the reboot, and it got, I guess, so bad that not only would they not shoot together, but Megan was not in a few episodes of whatever season that was. Her character was just like gone for like 2 or 3 back-to-back episodes.
like this was a mistake. I shouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
I should have just let a sleeping dog lie.
Yes. So anyway, so
So
that's
we're getting off. Yes.
yeah,
but
that's that other
I love that
sitcom.
tea.
But all these sitcoms, wasn't there drama on Golden Girls as well, or am I
Yeah.
right?
Betty and,
Versus was it Betty versus B?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I didn't
I
know
feel
about that.
at least
Yeah.
that's the urban legend. Yeah.
Or maybe I talked to you about this, Mark.
Yeah,
that
I feel
she
like we
thought
did.
B. Arthur was like, I'm an actress.
Oh.
And I think it's because, okay, it's coming back to me. I think, at least rumor, is that because Betty White was becoming like America's sweetheart and sort of the fan favorite of the show, B. Arthur, who was like a major star, theater, sitcoms, awards, was like, what the fuck, right?
Yeah.
So I think that it, who knows, but that's at least the rumor.
You
So-
know what show, which actually I believe is a precursor, like Sex and the City wouldn't exist without this. They had a ton of drama, Designing Women.
Oh, I used to
You're
love that show.
You're so
Love
right.
Designing
Now,
Women.
they had drama too, because I don't know that drama. Wow.
It was between Dixie Carter and Delta Burr. They started off as
I didn't know that either.
I have gone into the people.com archives to read articles from that time, from the 80s, about what was
I
going
love
on.
it.
But
Wow.
I have
we
to
can
look
talk
into
about,
that.
again, different time.
Okay,
We'll take
well-
it to the group chat.
A great, yes, and a
but-
great preview for when you guys are back for that show, whenever that has a milestone anniversary.
Yeah.
Wow.
But TV
Yeah, you
loves
know-
a four-woman set, doesn't it?
Isn't it
Yeah.
funny? Yeah. Mm-hmm. 4 friends, Dawson's Creek even, until it like expanded, Jack. But like, there's something about a TV show with 4 leads that feels right, because then each one has
Yeah.
their, their other person or two,
It's not
right?
too many.
Yes,
Yeah.
Little.
it's not like
Mhm.
Glee or like some of these shows where it's like, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, I don't know who to follow, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally. Okay. Well, before we fully dive in, I would like to hear from you both, since you both saw Taylor Swift last month separately.
Oh God.
In one word, in only one word,
Mm.
how would you describe the show at the same time? Okay, so think
Okay.
about it. Let's
Wait.
see.
I gotta think.
You
Hold
gotta
on.
think.
I gotta think of my one word. I can't use one word. Ugh.
I can.
Okay. Yeah. Oh,
You
Sarah
can do it.
Okay.
You can do it, Mel.
Okay. Hopefully you have it. In 3.
Okay, we're live.
Yeah.
This is a podcast.
3, 2, 1.
Iconic.
Perfection.
Okay, great. It's great. I think those are
Iconic
great
is very
words.
good, yeah.
Iconic and perfection. So you guys loved it. I watched it on
Love-
YouTube. I'm sure it's been pulled.
If I would do anything to see it again,
Wow.
You want to go to
Mel.
Europe?
I would.
You guys
I
should
would
go.
bring the baby.
I'll babysit. There you go.
I would. Yes. I
Let's
just.
talk offline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do that.
I don't know what this feeling is, but like I love it so much that I have trouble watching videos of it. That like I
Of,
kind
of
of
the
makes me like
concert.
yeah. I
Like
just-
it makes
I
you
guess
sad.
yeah, it's like a longing. Like oh,
Mm.
I want to do it again. I want to like be
You want to
there.
like live there. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's
So-
that
It was-
good. And she performs for 3 straight hours. That's real?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just there's nothing like that's for me. I basically only listen to her music. Just she's the go-to person for me. There's
Mhm.
just so much to listen to her catalog.
Mm.
That then when you're like in person and you're hearing song after song after song, it's just exhilarating.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Exhilarating. That's another good word.
I should have used that word.
Well, it's a great bonus. That can be my word. Love it. Wow.
It's just incredible. Oh my god.
Wow. Well,
Unreal.
okay.
And she looks
that should have been another.
Unreal.
I know.
She looks
What'd you say,
She
Sarah?
so good. She
Yeah,
looks
she looks like you're
amazing.
there and it's like surreal would have been another word, which is like
Ooh.
unreal. Um
Yeah. hmm Doesn't
you
count.
got me going. Let
Now,
me stop.
before we let Taylor go, and to make her millions, tell me
Billions. You should be a
billions.
billionaire.
Oh my God, you're right. Trillions. Who do you think she most relates to from Sex and the City?
Oh, that's a great question. I think she's the main character in any story, so she's Carrie.
I would
Yeah.
say she's a Carrie. Yeah. I think she
Wow.
sees herself
she's
as
a writer.
Carrie, and I
Mhm.
think she's a Carrie.
Wow. Well, geez. Okay, there you have it. Headlines everywhere. Taylor Swift's a Carrie. We'll be right back.
7.5 million people converging on one island. Call me crazy,
Can I have a cigarette?
but I'd say there's a story there.
Can I have a kiss?
Sex and the City, HBO's new comedy series starring Sarah Jessica Parker. A special premiere Saturday night at 9:45. Then watch for the regular time Sunday nights at 9.
Well, let's leave the modern day here because we're rewinding everybody. We are going back to June 1998. Ladies, I'm going to set the scene like I always do. You know, this is always the fun part. We're going to talk about what was popular at this time, where these stars were in their careers, how the show got started, and then I'm going to throw it over to you and we're going to nerd out about this show. Okay, so real quick, everybody, we are rewinding to June 6th, 1998. That is when Sex and the City premiered on HBO, and I'm sure you two agree. I mean, between Sex and the City, The Sopranos, which came out a few months later, 6 Feet Under, like Oz was on the air, like HBO. This show helped bolster HBO into what it is now, what it was. Max, weird. It's all weird, right? But right, this was a pillar of HBO, right? Okay, here we go. So on the news side, New York related, The Lion King was about to win the Tony for Best Musical. I thought that was funny, little pop culture, right? You guys remember? Were you, Mel? We went to see it our year.
We did a trip, didn't we?
We did a school trip. Yes, absolutely. And Sarah, you have seen it. Yep. We're all theater kids, so I mean,
it's so good.
It's so good.
And it's still on 25 years later. There you go. The top song, you guys are gonna love this, and if you want to sing it and fight, this would be great, because the top song that started this week and was the song of the summer, top of the charts all summer long, "The Boy Is Mine," Brandy and Monica. Do you guys, who's Brandy, who's Monica?
Can I be Brandy?
I was gonna say, I always feel like I'm a Monica. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
Love it. Okay, other popular
Great
songs.
song.
Other popular songs that were in the top 5, "You're Still the One" by Shania Twain, "My All" by Mariah Carey, and a song I was obsessed with, "Everybody, Backstreet's Back" by the Backstreet Boys. They were in the top 5.
What a time.
Right? Big moment for music. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Another fun song that was not on the top of the charts just yet, but brand new, was Aaliyah's "Tell Me You're That Somebody." Remember with the baby voice? Yeah.
I can't say I understood what was going on even back then with that.
Me neither, but I have such a distinct memory of going in gym class, whatever year that was. I guess I was.
Those were TRL years too.
Big TRL. Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm picturing the Boy Is Mine video right now.
Oh yeah, where we would just you could call or whatever you did to.
I think they did a making the video of the Boys' Mind.
They probably did, because
so.
that video was pretty iconic. Big colors, bright lights, and like I feel like the camera was on an angle and like kind of moody, right? Oh, yes. So that was the soundtrack of our lives at this moment. On the TV side, big shows had just come to an end just a couple weeks prior, because it was the end of the normal TV season. Seinfeld had just ended. Murphy Brown, Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, and the Larry Sanders Show, which, funny enough, a lot of these women had been on that show in a guest spot here and there. Another HBO show. Yeah. Funny
that was
little
an
connection.
HBO one too?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. That was HBO. So that had just come to an end. Geraldo in daytime was about to come to an end. And I thought this was funny. Over on MTV, The Challenge, which back then, season 1 was called Road Rules All Stars, I believe. But The Challenge had started. So I did not realize that show has been on for 25 years.
Yeah, I would never have guessed it was that long.
Crazy.
It's so good. It's so good.
Do you still watch it now, Sarah?
I haven't touched down on it in a bit. Like probably I would guess I gotta be like 7 seasons behind at this point. But
it's good.
It's good. I mean,
yeah.
You like that kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
All they have now. They don't do
they do it right.
Real World or Road Rules anymore.
No. It's
because remember, Real World actually moved to Facebook when Facebook for a few years was like doing Facebook Watch. Yeah, new seasons were somewhere on Facebook. You would never know because they never like promoted it. But yeah, random. Anyway, so The Challenge had just started, as did a show I did love, Celebrity Deathmatch. Do you remember that with the animated
the claymation?
Oh God.
Yes. So random, but I couldn't stop watching. So that was on TV at the same time. Now, popular movies, and then we'll move on. These were the big movies, top 5. The Truman Show, Jim Carrey. I almost talked about that on the pod, but Jurassic Park won, so I had to go with popular vote. But I think, Sarah, I feel like if I remember, you voted for Truman Show. Yeah, Mel voted for Jurassic. So
yeah,
there you go. Yeah.
Well, we know who you like more.
Yeah. Maybe in 5 years, Sarah, you'll come back for Truman Show. We'll see. I'll see if I can fit it in. So a Truman Show, A Perfect Murder with Gwyneth, Michael Douglas, Godzilla, big deal
wow.
with SJP's husband, Matthew Broderick. So the two of them were
Mhm.
having a big moment this time.
Mm.
Hope Floats with Sandra Bullock and Harry Connick Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I have, go ahead. I
You
was gonna
love
say
that
something about
movie?
Hope Float. No, I always think if there's a line in Parks and Rec where Ben is staying at a motel like before he's like a main character and he like fully moved to the town, and he says something like he gets invited out and he's like, "Oh, I don't know. The lady that runs the motel asked me if I wanted to watch Hope Floats in the lobby." So that's always when I hear Hope Floats, I think of that.
That's a great line. Oh my God.
Such
I
a
love
random movie.
I also just want to let everybody know I'm with two people that like know TV very well. You guys love TV.
They're
I love
passionate,
TV,
yes.
but like your brains, I'm with two like huge TV brains. Like you guys remember quotes. You remember like
Yeah.
where it's like, oh yeah, I'm a fan, and then you're talking, and I'm like, I have no idea what show you're talking about. You know, like I'm like, wow, you know, like sort of in one ear, out the other, and I'm like, I love that show, but I don't know what they're talking about.
I thought I loved that show.
I'm like, I think I watched it, right?
It's
Anyway.
my passion. It's
I
my
love it.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, I gotta get these two on for this special episode. But the last movie in the top 5, which was a movie I loved, was Deep Impact. This was the summer where it was like, are you a Deep Impact fan or Armageddon? Because Armageddon came out a couple weeks later. So that was pop culture. That was like the soundtrack, what we were watching, what we were seeing. How does that make you guys feel? Does it make you feel old? Does it make you feel like good? Hearing all that, how do you feel?
Music wise, I didn't realize those songs were in the 90s.
You thought they were 2000s.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh.
So I'm surprised to hear that.
It was a pop culture cornucopia. I mean, when we did this exercise around Dawson's Creek, it was like,
Right.
Yeah.
what an amazing year for
I
music.
never
and
feel
movies.
like any of that was that long ago, but it was.
I know.
apparently.
Yep, I know. Totally. And I think also like Madonna's Ray of Light was
Oh,
like
Yeah.
popular
The
that year.
reinvention.
So, right, like
Yeah.
a big like year for us to kind of really, you know, attach ourselves to pop culture, right? So,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
in comes Sex and the City. So, this will be fun. It's always fun to do this with two guests. How about we have how about Mel starts us off and Sarah, you finish us off because you recently watched one of the movies. So, in your own words, ladies, what is Sex and the City about? Feel free to describe it to us, you know, in a short way, however feels good. But Mel, you start us off and then throw it over to Sarah.
Sure. Well, it is 4 women in their 30s, single women.
Mhm.
Very important to point that out, in New York City. And I think the premise of the show, or what they wanted to do with it, is show what it's like. This is the first time 30 somethings, they make their own money. They don't need a man to like have the kind of life that they want. They're financially independent. What does that look like? Basically, what's their life looking like? How are they finding love? What are their friendships like, etc.
Yeah.
So these 4 women are best friends living in New York City in their 30s and basically looking for love, but pretending that they're independent, not looking for love. In a nutshell, there's Carrie, who is our writer. She's a sex columnist. There's Charlotte, who is she works at an art gallery. She's the more traditional lady.
Mhm.
Carrie's the more hippie, dippy kind of girl, I would say. Samantha's the, what's it called? Sex positive, free spirit.
What's this called? She a big hoe.
Yeah,
But we
and
love it.
Miranda's our fierce lawyer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And it's just the trials and tribulations of, you know, going from 30 to 40, I would say. It's that decade of life.
Mhm.
And it's a really big decade for women because if you're not gonna have kids during that decade, you know, women start to feel that door closing, and it did explore all those things.
Okay, good. That's a great part 1. So part 2, Sarah, do you want to now kind of ride that wave and tell us more?
Sure. Well, I think, yeah, where the show and then ultimately like, I get the packaged content winds up is it's about the persistence of female friendship.
Mm.
That becomes really the centerpiece. And what Big says, you guys are the loves of her life, and a guy's just lucky to come in fourth.
Oh,
And
That's a great line.
that
such
is
a great line.
such a good line. And that is ultimately the premise that is introduced, I would say, like halfway through the series and then really carries us through all of the newer content, both movies and just like that. They are female friendship centric, and it's all about exploring how friendships grow through the circumstance of the things that are happening in these people's lives, having children, getting married, getting divorced, losing a partner, gaining a partner, sexual discovery. And so I think where we wind up is probably a little less about exploring or centering the dating lives or the romantic lives of these women, and more about who these women are to each other. And the rest is like decoration around.
Wow.
Yeah, I wonder if that was
Beautifully
always
said.
the goal to, or what the message ultimately was always going to be. Because first season, I don't feel like I don't feel in the beginning it was.
I don't
feel
think
like it was
so.
more about kind of Carrie finding love,
Right.
specifically.
And in particular, don't you feel like not that I'm like a filmmaker or anything, but there are so many like noir undertones to
That-
like it's
yeah.
a gritty city and like
Yeah.
she's
Total-
like walking through fog and like,
Literally the total opposite of what the series looks like now.
yes,
Total
and now
opposite.
it's like no
Night and day.
saturation, that we are like bathed in light at all times.
It's like Nancy
bright.
Myers on crack. Everything's bright. Everything's fashion. It's funny
Yeah.
how like, absolutely, Sarah, because I had remembered that, but just rewatching those early scenes, wow, it's almost like Gotham City. Like we're smoking, we're in the shadows, and like, you know, and now you would never see that now. A club would be brightly lit and so colorful, you know, so it's funny. And I actually feel like after doing a little bit of research today, I feel like Sarah Jessica Parker has a lot to do with that, because I did see, and maybe you guys knew this already. Fun fact is that Sarah Jessica Parker hated the way the first episode looked, which I kind of agree with. It seems not that this is ever derogatory, but it just seems very low budget, like you said, Sarah, very gritty, to the point where like, what were you trying to do? I don't really. It almost seemed like Taxi Cab Confessions. You know how HBO do like their, like real sex. I think they were almost like trying to make it, you know. So Sarah apparently said, I should say Sarah Jessica, because she did tell me years ago when I worked at Extra and Sex and City, the movie came out. I said, she was like fixing her shoe, and I said, "We're ready for you, Sarah." And she said, in a very nice way, she said, "Sarah Jessica." I said, oh my God, I'm sorry. So I should say Sarah Jessica. She is not Sarah. But she did say she hated the way it looked, hated the vibe. And then over the years, it went more colorful. So maybe since she became a producer, maybe a lot of that is actually because of her. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it would make sense. I think also they just started to unearth what the audience was responding to. And
absolutely.
It seemed like the sex and the dating stuff was probably popular, but not as popular as understanding the like, oh my God, like women were more like, I'm such a Charlotte, I'm a Samantha.
Yeah.
And thinking about in relation to their own friend groups, they weren't like, you know, necessarily thinking, where's my big? You know, like that was a different, less important B plot.
Absolutely. Because I think the most fun that the characters have, we know, could they even say it, but then that we have as viewers is when the four of them are together talking shit, comparing, right? That's the most fun, right? That's the show.
Those are when the laughs usually happen.
Absolutely.
The one-liners.
Yes.
Where some of these episodes that I was just rewatching, I'm like, okay, let's get to the four of them together, right? Like, it's like enough, you know, and it's funny, in the early seasons, at least in season 1, since that's fresh in mind, they aren't always out at like dinner or lunch. The later seasons, they're like always out at that like diner, right?
Yeah.
But in the first season, they're actually at each other's like apartments more, and they're playing poker. And again, it's a little bit more like, gritty and like we're just chill. Then as the audience wanted more locations, more fashion, then we're constantly going out. And when you're home with them, they're almost like either alone or with their partners, not really with each other, right?
Yeah. Which
I
I
wonder
think
if
is
there's-
more indicative of living in New York too.
That's true.
Like you're not really, apartments are small, so
Yeah.
usually
That's a
you're not
great
hanging
point. And also, even you're right. Even in New York, yes, but also just anywhere. I feel like as you get older, and if and when you do find a partner, you kind of don't have people over as much. It's
Right.
funny how, right? Like,
Yeah.
some
Well,
people,
yeah, just
but you kind
chill.
of that just becomes like home base, and like then you're like, yeah, let's meet you out. Rather when you're single, you're like, yeah, come over, let's hang out. So
Yeah.
it's kind of funny how that happens. Hey listeners, quick plug. If you're loving this trip down memory lane to June 1998, you might also love my latest short film, Your Last Summer, which is a queer horror fan film that follows the events of the October 1997 slasher, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Hey, Sarah Michelle Gellar did appear in an episode of Sex and the City, so this is sort of related. Head to my MJP POV YouTube page to watch, and have a happy July 4th. We'll be right back.
I've been dating since I was 15. I'm exhausted. Where is he?
Who, the White Knight?
What do you do for work?
I'm sort of a sexual anthropologist. I write a column called Sex and the City.
Okay, well, let me tell you guys about how the show started. And if you know any of this info, please shout it out. Let's discuss. But as we know, even though Michael Patrick King is sort of known as the showrunner and the lead writer, it really was not created by Michael Patrick King. It was created by Darren Star, who also co-created and wrote on big shows Beverly Hills 90210 and Melrose Place, which Kristen Davis was on for a while.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So he already had some big, soapy TV cred. Created by Darren Star, of course, based on Candace Bushnell's yeah. Candace Bushnell's I should know, I met her at Wendy years ago, and she has a real and she was on that infamous Roni episode. Remember?
Not well, bitch.
Yeah.
Not well, bitch. That is
I'll tell you how I'm doing. Why does Dorinda hate her so much?
Well, that's the thing. She was so fired up about someone else. She's just taking it out on Candace Bushnell.
Yeah.
Right?
It's so funny that it's her that
Yes.
that line is directed to.
And I know the
Going
three of
out
us
a character that was based on her.
Yes. I just love
Wild.
that everyone thought that Dorinda's talking to like Ramona because you could see some blonde hair. Ramona's Sonia. No, it's Candace Bushnell in like the premiere of that season in the Hamptons. I remember. I was like, this took a turn I was not expecting. Anyway, so yes.
God. Yeah, that's another show we could go on.
Oh
about.
my God.
Just begging you to please, if you do a round episode.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
I've never thought about reality, but yes.
Yes.
When that show turns, because I think this year was 15. So when that turns 20, oh my God, Roni. Oh, that'd be so fun. Oh, that's a good
Imagine
idea.
the
Anyway.
new iconic lines we'll have in 5 years.
Oh my God, yes. But I have to say real quick, speaking of
Sorry
Roni,
that I'm doing this.
oh, eat up. If anyone's listening,
hungry.
Sarah is enjoying Domino's and I am living and loving it. She's got pizza. Did you also get breadsticks?
Cinesticks.
Cinesticks.
It's
Love
imagine dessert, right?
Love it. Good for you. What a truly a perfect American Friday night. Domino's, wine,
USA.
USA,
USA, baby.
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
And also, I forgot to say, everybody, that the three of us have all lived in New York. So we really are like Carrie.
And Kate moved to LA. Like
Yes,
Samantha.
like Samantha. Wow, that's so funny. I forgot about that. Yes, I forgot she moved to LA. Anyway, but so yes, Candace Bushnell, everybody, if you didn't realize, of course you know, she had a real life newspaper column called Sex and the City that was in the New York Observer. And then the highlights and the different articles she wrote turned into a book of the same name that was released in 1996. Big deal. Did you guys ever read her stuff? Read the book? No? Wow, interesting. I would
Did
be
you?
very curious. No, but I'd be very curious to see what the similarities are. I'm sure, because a lot of it was taken from the book. So just to see the Sarah Jessica Parker version versus what was written in her real column, right? But so she had met Darren Star, the creator, while profiling him for Vogue. So while interviewing him, they hit it off, and all of a sudden now they're going to make a TV show together. HBO and ABC were both interested in the series, but Darren Star decided to offer it to HBO for more creative freedom. Can you imagine this show on ABC? What do you think that would be like?
I don't think it would have taken off.
Yeah. It would have been killed so fast.
And it's funny knowing that, because then
Would they even have called it Sex and the City on ABC though?
Back then? You're so right. Probably not.
Because I remember hearing the name of the show. We were quite young, and I was like, "Huh?
Oh
That's
yeah,
not the title, Sex."
Oh yeah, Sex and the City. It sounded like, again, going back to like Real Sex or like Taxi Cab Confessions. It felt like late night, like midnight, right?
Yes,
very much so. I remember seeing ads for it in my mom's People magazine and like flipping past because I was like, "Oh, I don't want to get in trouble for looking at this."
So I thought it was like some kind of porn because like late night HBO. That's what was the Bunny Ranch thing on HBO? Do you guys know that one?
Bunny Ranch?
No. Playboy Bunny?
No, it's this place in I think it's Nevada. They had a documentary on HBO, like a series.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's like a whorehouse. I don't know if that's the correct terminology. I'm sorry.
A sex positive house.
Yeah. I'll look up more details about it.
Wow.
But that was on very late at night on HBO.
Yeah, I would have. I probably watched it. I watched a lot of that stuff, not necessarily because it was like hot. I mean, sometimes it would be like, whoa, but wow, just learning about all these oddballs and all the things they do. Wow, right? So yeah, I thought that was interesting that ABC was interested, because then after the show, do you guys remember there were a couple knockoff shows on major networks? Lipstick Jungle with Brooke Shields.
Oh yeah, yes.
Remember that?
Yeah,
which I remember it was cute. It was good. It wasn't like a bad show. It didn't survive because it wasn't this show. And I think there was something else too. They try to do like different, 3 women in this place,
Yeah.
But so of course, the power of the show led to some knockoffs. But anyway, so of course HBO got it, which I can't imagine not seeing boobs and hearing the F-bombs. And I mean, it's a very obviously adult show. Yeah. Funny that out of all the years, Sarah Jessica Parker never showed the goods, but all the other ladies did, right?
Not
Kristen Davis?
Kristen Davis, no.
Not even like, oh wow.
Yeah,
okay.
they both had whatever in their
like no nudity clause.
Wow. And cut to, I know we're jumping around, but we'll talk about it in Just Like That later. But I mean, did you guys, well, I know Mel, you have stopped watching. Sarah, are you watching or no?
I did not watch the first, I haven't started the second season yet. Okay. I did watch the first season.
I won't spoil anything other than you see a lot, and it's bold. Really? I mean, these women are getting older and you see it all. So
really?
Oh yeah. I honestly was impressed. I'm like, wow, that is courage. And
well, obviously
the show's not good. She should be
Cynthia
like nominated. How'd you know?
She's always been like putting it all out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all out there. So yeah, if you haven't watched, get ready for the full Nixon, everybody. Head to toe. So Darren Star wrote the pilot with Sarah Jessica Parker in mind as Carrie. So she was already the hot thing. Yeah. So according to Sarah Jessica, she said she was flattered but did not want to do it, which I remember she had said in interviews. But Darren convinced me, begged me to do it, and I signed a contract. So she really was not into it. She was sort of a little bit of America's sweetheart. She had done a ton of theater. We know already she had done Hocus Pocus, which really was not actually that huge of a deal back then. It grew in popularity.
Did First Wives Club come after this premiered?
No. Before? So here we go. I'm glad you asked, because yes, so right before this, we'll only talk about what everyone was doing in the 90s. I'll tell you just about our 4 leads, where they were in their careers. Okay. So SJP, we know, was already an 80s star, much like Kim Cattrall. They had, led some movies at the time. But in the 90s, right before this, Mars Attacks, where her head gets connected to a chihuahua's body. Right. The First Wives Club, which I have talked about on this show, that was 96. So that was already a thing. She starred in If Lucy Fell, Miami Rhapsody, Ed Wood, a Tim Burton movie, much like Mars Attacks. She worked with him twice, which people, including me, forget that she was a Tim Burton regular for a bit. Striking Distance, and of course Hocus Pocus. Kim Cattrall, we know she did Mannequin and Police Academy, big 80s comedies. She was doing lots of TV. Actually, the rest of the 3 were doing lots of TV, different guest stars, lots of TV movies. Kim Kim Cattrall also was in a Star Trek movie in the 90s before this, and Bonfire of the Vanities with Tom Hanks, and she actually was nominated for a Razzie for Worst Actress in that. So, Sarah, that goes back to your point. But Kim Cattrall, we love you.
We
think you're great. And we hope you are just not listening to this. Kristen Davis, let's move over to Kristen. She, again, had been doing lots of TV. Like I said, she was on at least a season or two of Melrose Place, and she was on a season or two of General Hospital. She was popping up as a nurse. So she was a little TV thing. And I had forgotten about this. Greg actually randomly remembered that she had an alcoholism issue before this show. Yeah, big time.
Yeah, I remember that as well.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. She's open about it,
Yeah.
which is just crazy because of her character, and she's so beautiful that like you just would never have thought that she went through some hell with abusing alcohol.
Yeah. She also used to date Alec Baldwin.
Oh,
Really?
I totally see it. Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
So-
when she was drinking or not, but
Oh, that'd be interesting. That would be interesting. Yikes. And then Cynthia, she also had done lots of TV, lots of theater before this as well. I just had a shout out. I knew her best before this or during this as the nanny in the movie Baby's Day Out. When she was blonde. She actually is like naturally blonde. So she was like a very proper nanny. Yes. She wears that red well. And then she was in the
Baby's
Pelican
Day Out
Brief.
is that the movie where they had the robot? It was like a robot baby.
No, Baby's
in that
Day
movie?
Out. Oh, I don't know which one that is. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen it in decades.
Like
but I
it's
remember
not
seeing it
supposed
in
to be a
theaters.
robot. It is a robot though.
Oh,
in real life.
like it is maybe like behind the scenes it actually was a robot. I just know it was
Yeah.
like some dumb like family comedy. I think there were like some thieves, some crooks, and she was the
Yeah.
nanny, and it was this little thing in our lives. But I knew her most from that. But then she also was in the Pelican Brief with another famous redhead, Julia Roberts. So that's them in a nutshell. Ladies, now is the real fun part. I'm going to finally stop talking. Let's talk about season 1 for a minute. Let's talk about the pilot. I know we were talking about how it looks very different. Were you guys able to rewatch the pilot? What do you make of it? And like, with your eyes nowadays, would you have continued watching, or would you have been like, this is weird? What do you think? I'll start with Sarah first. What do you make of it, at least with your 2023 perspective?
I actually did not hate it. I thought I was prepared to go back knowing that the format changed so drastically and we're no longer, talking direct to camera. It's dropped the noir soundtrack. It's all of it. Like I was prepared to not enjoy it, but I actually thought, it sets up a lot of these characters that we need to be invested in really nicely. I did not remember that Big was in the first episode. I thought Big did not come to us until like mid-season 1. So to see him was actually just such a jump scare. Like, whoa, he's in it from the start? Yeah. That's crazy. And for some reason in my mind, I didn't remember that we watched them meet. I kind of thought he just kind of existed in her universe and we just got introduced to him randomly. So I have to say, I really enjoyed watching this first episode. I think, I did not watch this live when it first aired. I was someone who came to it later when I was a little bit older and had access to HBO. So I kind of already knew enough that I was going to proceed beyond the first episode, but pretending I didn't know what was coming, I still think I would have given it at least a few episodes beyond this first one. I thought it was, I thought it still had charm to it, even though it was definitely, like we say, darker, grittier, sexier in some ways. I still thought there was a lot of charm and humor there. I would have continued watching for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Is that Maya snoring?
Oh my God, can you hear her?
Yeah, I can, but I love it. Don't do anything. But I remember last time for Dawson's Creek, we were like, someone's phone is vibrating, or someone's internet is cutting out, and Sarah's like, it's Maya. No, I love it. So don't worry. I'm so just letting everyone know.
She's up. I woke her up.
I
won't let her.
If it happens again, I enjoy it. But no, Sarah, you brought up a good point that I forgot to ask you guys. And then I'll ask you, Mel. Yes, Sarah. So I don't think any of us watched this live from the start, right, Mel? Did you? We were young. So when did you watch it, Sarah? When did you start? Do you think? Was it high school or even later?
It was high school.
It was high school.
So I don't know if I'm like, can I name drop
Do it.
So
You can always cut it out.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Emily Whitesell
probably not.
was
Mhm.
very Emily Whitesell loved this show. Love this show.
I am so glad you're bringing her up because yes, I associate her as well with us, in this show. So yeah.
Yes, and she and her sister Zan, who I was friends with, both of them, loved the show, and so I think it was really hanging out with Zan at their house. That's how I got to watch the first few episodes, and then I think at that point we had HBO, so I just kind of did my own watch session. But I would say I was probably like a sophomore
Okay.
in high school.
Yep. So you now, and did you start from the very beginning, Sarah? Because back then it was hard to, unless you had the DVDs, or did you just kind of jump in at the time?
I think I
Trying to
jumped in at the time,
Yeah.
and then they owned the DVD sets.
Okay.
So I think I maybe borrowed them, or again, like watched it at their house. But I did ultimately go back and start from the tippity top.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say I was probably like 15, 16.
Yep. Isn't it so funny to think? Because now we're so used to like, oh yeah, like, did you start from the beginning, like randomly? Like we can do that now, but you could not do that then unless you paid for the DVDs and you knew someone with the set, right? Like
very funny.
I'm going to say, I don't even think they were DVDs. I think they were VHS.
Even better. Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's a relic. That's probably a lot of money on eBay. Wow.
You can tell a man I hate you. You have the best sex of your life. But tell him I love you. You'll probably never see him again.
Welcome to the age of uninnocence. No one has breakfast at Tiffany's, and no one has affairs to remember. Instead, we have breakfast at 7 a.m. and affairs we try to forget as quickly as possible.
Now, Mel, what about you? Because I have such a distinct memory of watching episodes with Mel. I feel like, Mel, you and I and Liz McKay and maybe Andrew watched a couple episodes at like in Liz's room. And maybe Suze was there as well one day. But we would like watch this show sometimes together. So that's my fun little memory. Not all the time. But what about you, Mel? When did you start the show, do you think?
I'm pretty sure I started around the season. I think it might be season 3. Is that when Big and Carrie have their affair? She's with Aiden, he's with Natasha.
Yep.
I think it's season 3.
Okay. Right around there.
Pretty sure that's when I started to watch the show live. So again, same thing where I just jumped in. Yeah. I don't know how I knew what was going on. I guess just like hearing things, like I knew it was Carrie and Big, like that was an established couple that I was rooting for.
Yep.
And then anytime there's like a love triangle, or I guess I don't want to, this affair is intriguing to me in a drama situation, not in real life. I think that might be why I really
you were rooting for Big and Carrie to be together.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Always.
It's through the affair.
Yes.
Were you ever bought in on Aiden?
Never. Ever.
This is,
and I'm like, why does he continue to come back? Like we've done this.
Because now he's back in the second.
I know.
Not
this
in the.
Is what bothers me about the show.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
Come up with someone else.
Yeah.
How many times are we gonna bring him back? Like tease this. We did this in the second movie, right?
Second movie, yep. Oh, which Sarah just saw recently. But hold that. We're gonna talk about the movies later.
Put a pin in it.
All right. Carrie and Aiden really rile me up. I hate them as a couple.
Okay, I love to hear this, Sarah. So it sounds like you actually didn't love Big. Did you like Aiden for her the best?
No, I wanted her to wind up with Big, but the affair was one thing where I was like, I just kind of can't. It just felt very like, well, not this way. If this is how you get them, I don't want to watch this. Because
I mean, as an adult, I would feel that way, but now, like viewing it as a teenager, I thought it was very like sexy, I guess.
Yes, I hear you.
Like it was like, whoa, they're so passionate about each other, they can't stay away.
Yeah.
That is interesting. You know, it's funny because again, we were young, but I, like both of you, joined in. I did not watch the first couple seasons, yet somehow I knew about it. And I think also just the nature of the writing, it was very easy. Again, also because it's like a sitcom, it's very easy to just sort of like jump in and like assimilate and like, okay, Carrie and Big, they're a thing. And I'm sure we saw pictures and articles like, showing the two of them, right? Because like you said, Sarah, it's so funny that Chris Noth was never a series regular. It always was a guest star, but he's in the very first episode. He's in almost like every episode. Occasionally he would be missing, but so it's funny how he was not the fifth character. That was the city. But no, actually the fifth character I think was like the cast grew over the years. It was more than just the four, I'm pretty sure, that were regulars. But yeah, I jumped in late as well, right in the middle of the season, I think. And it's funny, Mel, because I agree. Like, I remember during the affair stuff, I didn't think it was bad because the buzz of Carrie and Big, it was just like, well, there's no other option.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
So it's like, how are they what's gonna be next for them? Not next for her.
Because then he
next
got
for him.
married, and it was
Right. Okay.
I still really like that whole storyline arc, whatever. I know that it's very problematic that Carrie and Big in general.
Yes.
And I understand that now that I'm an adult.
Yeah.
But I do still have a soft spot for them and for Big.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. I love Big. I love Big separately, and I
even-
love him for her, too.
Yeah. I like Big as a character. I know Chris Noth sadly is canceled and all that stuff. I mean,
Oh, is he?
oh yeah, because of
It's not clear. Is he actually canceled though? I know they tried to cancel him.
I think
Did it work?
it happened last year. It literally happened like the day and just like that premiered was then the news that different women were coming out that he assaulted them.
It was actually this actress. What's her, you know who I'm talking about, Mark?
I
you speak
I
now.
don't, but I do. Yeah. Uh-huh.
She's in a lot of comedies. That's the one that
Okay.
was like really speaking out about it.
Because there were a few women, right? A couple people.
I forget her name. Anyway, back in the day, we're going back like 20 years apparently.
Yes. He was already supposed to die because that was the
Yes.
plan. As I remember, we were talking about that podcast Origins that talked about Sex and City and the plans for the third movie.
Love that
He was
podcast.
already that's a great podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually want to re-listen to the Sex and City episodes, but
It's really good.
he was always meant to die, but I guess he was supposed to shoot flashback.
Oh yeah,
scenes.
he was.
But once he was in this hot water, they're like cut and like. Probably ultimately for the best. Flashbacks are always so tricky, especially for what's ultimately a comedy. So so that's why we'll never see him again. So I know he's problematic, and yes, hindsight, 2023 adults here, their relationship is kind of toxic. He's an asshole. She,
he
like
definitely is.
Aiden is a very nice guy, but here's my thing with Aiden, and I like that actor a lot. John Corbett's great in so many things. He's very sweet, but there's like a cloud in my mind that I don't really remember a lot of Aiden and Carrie like details from the show. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think they have as much chemistry.
Also,
Yeah.
he doesn't like her for who she is. Like, I think he just never saw her as her true self, never accepted her as her true self. They like didn't know each other.
Right.
In so many ways.
Well, the character of Aiden, when he's first introduced, he's way different than when he comes back later in the show. Like when he's that first season that he's on, he's very
That's
like
right,
new
'cause he comes
agey.
back
He has
in
like
the
long
show.
hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. And then he has a
Turquoise.
haircut. When he comes back with a haircut, everyone's like, oh, Aiden's looking.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot. So he technically has come back 1, 2. This is his third return.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, enough.
Enough. Yeah.
We've done this.
I honestly think now he's back because they're trying to course correct. Obviously, it's good drama. Like, ooh, is she going to try again? But they're trying to course correct with like, we spent so much time with Big.
Yes,
and
I
that
know.
that was not ultimately the best relationship. This is a better guy. So yeah, but I could see them
back
just being
Burger.
friends. What'd you say, Sarah?
Bring back Burger.
Burger. Oh my God. We're going to talk
I
about all the
definitely wanna talk about
boyfriends,
Burger,
but
yeah.
Burger is a very memorable. Well, that was also
Very.
the last season, right? I think that was season
Was it?
6.
Or
It was
second
season
to
5. I just
Was it
rewatched
5?
season 5 today, and that's the Burger
Okay.
season.
Okay, so season 5, and then season 6 picks up with the Post-it. Infamous. We'll talk about that because oh my God, what a
well, yeah, we'll talk about it.
easily one of my top 10 or maybe even 5 episodes. But it'd be fun to actually bring back some of the guys that like fucked up and actually have them come back and be like, wait, actually,
Or the politician, John Slattery. Like,
Yeah, I love
oh yeah,
that.
that's right, John
That would
Slattery.
be
So many
great.
guest stars.
Yeah.
But real quick, Mel, I want to ask you, were you able to rewatch the pilot?
Yes.
So what do you think, just to kind of piggyback off what Sarah was thinking, what do you make of it, like, with today's lens? Like, would you have kept watching, all
I
that stuff?
would, yeah.
Yeah.
I think just comparing it to how we know how the show transitions, it's a stark contrast, but I think it could have worked with them continuing that whole, like, talking directly into the camera. It could have been done. And I was just thinking the pilot must have been filmed like a year before the actual.
You're exactly
season.
correct. You are correct.
Ooh.
Fun fact, the pilot episode was shot in June 1997, a whole year after it aired. So that's why they look a little different, especially SJP with her shorter, very dark hair, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So it aired a year before the series premiered, and that's when she didn't like it, and she feared it would end her career, and she just wanted to get out of the contract, offering to work in 3 HBO movies unpaid. That's how badly she wanted to distance herself from it.
Whoa.
But Darren Star would not release her. He listened to her concerns and implemented major changes before shooting the rest of the first season. Now, I don't know about major changes, but you can see the difference. Since I didn't rewatch all of season 1, but you can see a definite difference just from 1 to 2, at least looks, the vibe,
the pace,
the whole season 1. It is weird how everyone does look at the camera. Some episodes, Carrie is looking directly at the camera, and it's a little weird. It's not bad, but it does throw me off. I actually kind of liked when the small characters in each episode are talking to the camera, kind of like documentary style. It's actually kind of fun, and I think that could have worked for the whole show.
Yeah,
because they stopped that, I feel like, maybe by the end of season 1. That never returned, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the pilot's not a total loss, because there is already an infamous line from it when she asks Big if he's ever been in love. And he has his famous "abso-fucking-lutely" line. So
again,
I liked it. Yeah,
did not even realize that was a pilot line. Like, it is so right out the gate iconic and sexy who this person is. I thought "abso-fucking-lutely" was like season 4. Like, I genuinely thought this was like a very established person leaning into what we already knew about them, and like, no, this is how we got to know who he is.
Have you ever been in love?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah.
I was familiar with the pilot before, just because I am such a big and Carrie stan shipper.
You write fan fiction?
Yeah, he's still alive.
Just still pedaling on that bike.
Yeah. Oh.
I had gone back and like made sure I watched like every scene that they had as a couple. So
wow, so you are a big fan of the two of them. Well, you also do love like a dark-haired man. I feel like Big is your type.
Oh yeah,
he was
right.
Gorgeous.
He was. I mean, he is still, but
so charming.
Yeah. So in some shots, like, wow, what a hottie. Yeah, totally. And it's funny because not that he's unconventionally handsome at this time, but like maybe because we were kids, it took me a while to see his handsomeness. I was like, like, why is she with him again? Because like, again, all the guest stars, so many other cuter guys. I'm like, huh. But now as an adult, I totally understand. And he's great casting, right?
What's Maya doing?
Snoring.
That's snoring again?
I can't go on any more bad dates. It's supposed to be a relationship, and I'm done walking on eggshells.
Some of the best sex I've had is with people I can't stand. Details. This is so exciting.
Aren't you boys a sight for sore eyes?
Why can't I have the relationship and the sex? Why is it one or the other?
Season 1, we're introduced to these ladies. We meet Big, and we see almost in every episode, Carrie and Big are running into each other. It's very cute. He's at the church. He's at this party, which the chemistry is really strong when they bump into each other, right? And they make it work, and then they have some bumps, I was just rewatching an episode where they're talking about monogamy, and she realizes he's like dating other people because they're not official yet, right? So that's her story. The other ladies, only Miranda has a recurring love interest in season 1, and that's Skipper. Do you remember Skipper?
Yes.
I have a major issue with him. Yes.
Tell me, what do you think? Because nerd alert. And
where
Greg
did
even
we
said
find this actor?
Yeah, I know. He's
so
like.
bad.
And Greg was like, she's a nerd and he's making her nerdier. Like, he didn't enjoy even watching the two of them together. And I'm like, yeah.
I can't stand that guy on TV. Like, that's why he never got any other work, I guess. But.
He looks like someone who gets white in the corner of his mouth.
Oh,
ew, Sarah.
I'm sorry.
I have to have a drink after that. Oh my
So
God.
sorry.
Yes, I see
Sorry
it.
to say, but
Yeah, he might be one of the worst love interests on the whole series. Would you guys agree?
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just a wet blanket. So she was with him, but famously, and I just posted about this on the Real Estate Rewind Instagram, that in episode 3 of season 1, Miranda is mistaken for a lesbian at the work, right? And it's so memorable. And she's like so turned off, so not, but then even tries it. She does kiss her cute little date when she uses her date
and then she's
to
like,
excel at work.
definitely straight.
Right.
I see.
Definitely
This is what
straight.
annoys me about the show, or a show in general. That really, my pet peeve is when you don't have consistency with the character. You forgot you wrote that episode,
right?
And then now I know people change, but like she literally has a line where she's like, "Yeah, definitely straight."
Yep, in the
after
elevator.
kissing her.
And her friend even says, "Yeah, you are," right?
Yeah.
So I know what you mean, Mel. Rewatching it, I'm like, yeah, that just feels, because I mean I don't have a crazy memory of it just like that because it's again so something. But when she starts, this thing with Che, she never even like talks about like, yeah, like I've even kissed a woman before, and I thought like at least call back to it, right?
Yeah.
So I know what you mean. Yeah.
Because it is kind of, I mean, it's not the most memorable episode, but I think it's it's something that sticks out.
For
Definitely.
sure.
And it's a statement for her character. So it's so interesting years later to be like, oh, okay, like you put your foot down, you were like not appalled, but she was taken aback at the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right.
I also was. Go ahead, Sarah. Oh, no, I was just.
Oh my God, this is a rom-com. Hey listeners, if you're enjoying our little visit to June 1998 in this episode, you'll probably also like my recent appearance on the podcast Back to the Blockbuster, where I discuss the June 1998 comedy Can't Hardly Wait with hosts Gaius and Jackson. It was a great conversation, so check that out. We'll be right back.
Hello, lover.
I'm at a point where I have to believe the Miranda Che storyline is
a dream.
Was part of Cynthia Nixon's
Yeah.
I will come do this show if you let me represent
Definitely.
the LGBTQIA community.
Yes.
And
For sure.
like, so to me it feels like, yeah, it definitely doesn't jibe with what we have learned for years about Miranda and her sexuality, but my guess is it's just a Cynthia Nixon.
Yes.
I want this to be, I will not do this show unless it's represented kind of move.
Yeah.
I think that's a solid theory. And, I think that's great as well, because the show, as we know, the original show, very white, very straight, when we know New York has always been really anything but that. So I'm glad that I believe that theory as well, Sarah, that that's probably, I was about to call her Miranda, Cynthia's doing, but it's kind of like you just need a little bit more glue to glue that show to that show,
Just acknowledge that
Yep.
happened.
Even if you had Steve, who was in season 1 of And Just Like That, say something like, wait, Miranda, you told me you kissed a woman and you didn't even like it, or something, right? I feel like give someone the line, right?
But I also just get frustrated when they had that whole almost getting divorced already.
Yeah.
That was the movie, right?
That was the
was
movie.
the first movie.
Yeah.
But then you guys stuck it out, and now here we are again. See, this is what annoys me with this show.
It's hard.
You guys put the work in writing-wise, character development-wise, and then you just throw things out.
I agree. I hear you. And it's hard because a lot of franchises, both movies and shows, kind of hit this where it's like, well, wait, you kind of already did that. And now like these creators or these runners, directors are deciding to stick to that. It's like, okay, if I'm getting deja vu, but sure. Yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, so the rest of season 1, of course, Carrie has some escapades with other men, but it's a lot of Mr. Big. And then the most kind of escapades are with obviously Samantha and Charlotte. Charlotte's not really with any steady guy. And it's funny because those early seasons, especially season 1, she's constantly talking about like art, and she's constantly in the art world and like hooking up with artists. Later, because then she has her various husbands, we kind of leave the art world behind. And I kind of miss the art world because, like, and just like that, she is kind of nothing but like a mom and a wife.
Yeah. Because I think once she marries Trey, right, she doesn't work anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And she just never works again. And I don't know. I kind of like seeing her look like a a sort of Tina Fey like with her glasses, and she's like busy at work. I want her to kind of have like a hobby or something again, because like Charlotte, to me, especially nowadays on And Just Like That, I would
maybe they'll do that this season. That would
maybe,
make
because
sense.
it's like if I were her, I would pull a Katherine Heigl and be like, writers, you are not giving me good material. I am removing my name from Emmy consideration. Like, right? Like, I just feel like, give me something to do other than like, Harry's got to work and my kid is trans. And it's like, well, what are you doing? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it's very one-dimensional.
very one-dimensional. Because at least Miranda still gets some interesting stuff. It might not be good, but it's just something, right?
I was gonna say, I feel like another thing we kind of left behind in season 1 that I really enjoyed about it was it just felt like they were way more the writers were way more willing to acknowledge and create other friendships and other friend groups for these women outside of each other. And I think probably around the same time that the show became more about their friendship as the through line, they circled the wagons and it was more just about these 4. But I really liked getting like Carrie going to the Hamptons with that couple, and then you see the couple later, and they're at the and like I liked that they had this established kind of like these women have very well established social circles in New York City that we sometimes get to tap into and witness. That felt very authentic.
Absolutely.
Because I think there is no New Yorker who just has 3 friends, and those are the only people they brunch with. Like that doesn't seem quite right. So I really enjoyed that about season 1 as an overarching note.
Yeah, because I think we all agree that the most memorable moments come later. I think as the show gets stronger, my favorite guest star from season 1 is probably Timothy Olyphant as her 20-something, or is he like a college student? And like, if you guys remember, I had forgotten how good this episode is. Also, he's just so damn cute. But
I love him.
Oh my God, she wakes up. He's like this cool, suave, hot young kid, right? And she and Kim Cattrall, Samantha, are like thinking they're hot stuff with these young guys. And she wakes up and the apartment is just filthy and oh, it's so funny, so funny. So just want to shout him out. He's got a really fun role for sure.
Yeah.
But now let's talk about the rest of the season, and we don't have to go rest of the series, I should say, and we don't have to go like season 2, season 3. But now let's keep it open ended. I want to hear, just your favorite. It could be episodes, favorite moments, favorite lines. Let's just kind of talk about like what is Sex and the City to us. I'll start real quick and we can jump around. Season 4, I believe, was the episode that I think ultimately is the one I just immediately think of is Sex and the City I think it's called The Real Me, when she falls on the runway.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think it's maybe one of the most sitcom-y things about the show, but it works so well. She's fashion roadkill,
right?
So unexpected. She's selected to, walk the runway. Heidi Klum is there. So I just have to, and I feel like I probably have even told you guys this. I feel like I have memories of telling people I love the ending when, she's so embarrassed, but then she's back in her apartment and we hear that song, To Be Real, and she's strutting and she's feeling, and I think honestly, you know what, maybe I also love that the most, maybe because that might have been actually one of the first episodes I started regularly watching.
Oh, okay.
Maybe, because it was that beginning of season 4, right at it was like so buzzy. So just want to start with that, but we can jump around. I just love that episode. So funny, so awkward.
Yeah.
Oh my God, she's fashion roadkill.
4 more, please.
Mel, you want to start us off? What's something you love?
I think one of the episodes that always sticks out in my mind is her birthday episode.
Yes, absolutely. 35th birthday, right?
So much heart in it, and it's so you really feel her pain when no one shows up, and then she drops that cake on her walk home,
and they're yelling at her. And the way she screams is so relatable, right? She's
And then of course you guys know I love Big and Carrie. He does come and unexpectedly cheers her up. I just think it's a really sweet episode, and also as I've gotten older, I really relate to it. You just feel the years passing you by, and I it's like seared in my memory because I've watched it when I was younger than 25, when the other person in the restaurant is having a birthday and the cake comes out and it's for her and she's like, fuck, 25, I'm so old.
Yep.
And now we are at the age where we are older than Carrie is. And it's just, I don't know, it's a mind trip. It's like I've been watching that episode for not decades. Is it decades?
Decades. Yeah. Uh-huh.
It is.
It's like 20 years, 22 or something. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
So that's just a very memorable episode that I've been able to relate to throughout the years.
Yeah.
As we've gotten older and more so.
A brilliant episode. And I even recreated it on my 35th birthday on vacation with Greg. I said, can you just take a picture of me at this table all by myself? And he's like, what is this for? I'm like, you don't know. It's fine. It's just an iconic episode that like I have to just like acknowledge today, you know? So yeah, so I'll repost that because that's somewhere. What about you? We can piggyback. We can go around the room. Sarah, what about you? What's an episode you just love?
Okay. It's got to be the post-it note, the post-it note episode where they go to bed. I got caught smoking a doobie.
Yep. I love that line.
So funny. I think she looks amazing. I think it's just, I love the girls kind of coming together. They wind up, finding a way to have a fun night. It's comedy. It's so real. I mean, like, I know I've been dumped very unceremoniously, not on a post-it note, but like it is so real where you're like, I gotta go have my bounce back night, and then like imagining running into that person's friends. I think it's just so funny.
Yes.
And Carrie is a mess, and like it's a good reminder episode that she can dress herself, and like by this point in the series she's got regular work and she's very successful professionally, but like she's still a personal mess, and it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if it's that same episode, but do you guys remember? I think it's maybe that episode where I think it's right after Burger, someone bumps her on the street and she goes, "Oh, you're so busy."
I think it is that episode.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
And I felt that at least once a week when I lived in New York.
Oh my God.
Like coming off a subway. Oh, you're so busy. Oh, it's all about you. Like, great episode.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of the best ones, Sarah.
Other ones is the I Love New York episode.
Which one's that?
Well, I think it's called I Love New York. But it's the episode where Miranda gives birth and leaving town. So they go on a New York greatest hits.
Yes. And you know what's funny about that episode that I remember so well? That was when Carrie has her short hair.
Yeah.
It's very springy. Like that was that season when SJP had very short hair again. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She has it in the Burger episodes though, right? The short hair?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
true. She was pregnant in those episodes.
Yes.
Yes. That was the shorter season, right? Season 5 was only
8 episodes or something.
Yeah. And then the last season, I remember that was when it was so new to me. I'm like, wait, they split the season up? It was like half aired in 2000 at the end of 2003, and then the other half aired in winter 2004. Because I remember if the series finale, which we'll talk about because oh my God, it's so good. But the series finale aired, and I remember the next day we had carousel rehearsal at school. It was like right around the time we were getting ready to do that show. So that's my brain. Here's a message from my friend Lori Navizin, another fan of this great show.
Hey there, it's Lori, and this is why I loved Sex and the City. I think Sex and the City in the late 90s and early 2000s was kind of a groundbreaking series. And, it was a story about 4 women trying to navigate the world of dating and relationships in New York City. It had a cool factor. It was risque, which at the time for HBO was, they're certainly not as risque as they are now, but definitely groundbreaking at the time. And, the fashion was really neat and quirky, and it was definitely a world that you kind of wanted to inhabit. For me, my favorite moments were definitely when Big and Carrie got together in Paris at the end, and who could forget Burger breaking up with Carrie via Post-it note.
Carrie, what was your news?
Oh, Burger broke up with me on a Post-it.
On a Post-it?
Yep. Read it and weep, my friends.
I'm sorry, I can't. Don't hate me. The motherfucker's concise.
A post-it, that's infuriating.
Yeah, I remember when breaking up over the phone was considered bad form.
I once was broken up with by a guy's doorman. I'm sorry, Miss Hobbs. Jonathan won't be coming down. Ever.
I miss having a doorman.
One other thing about the Smokin' a Doobie, the posted episode, real quick, I just also loved the hood she was wearing, because she like has the hood on, and I assume it was intentional, but my brain just always goes to her wearing the hood in Hocus Pocus, so I don't know if that was like a legit connection, but just want to shout that out.
Actually, now that you bring it up, I meant to say for the pilot, sorry to jump back.
Yeah.
One of the things that I kept thinking is I just kept thinking of Hocus Pocus, because that's what she looked like to me in the pilot episode. Because it must have been filmed.
It was. I was already like 4 years after the movie came out.
God.
Yeah.
She's so young to me in Hocus Pocus, and then in that pilot episode,
yeah,
she looks quite young to me.
Yeah.
Two memorable scenes, and they have to do with the affair. So,
yeah.
Well, first is when Carrie finds out that Big is getting married to Natasha on the beach. I guess they're in the Hamptons.
Yeah.
And she runs off and she like immediately vomits. And again, it's Samantha, right? I think that comes in
it might be
consoles her. I can't remember which friend, but that to me is like one of a memorable scene where you just really like feel her pain. And then the scene where she's running away from Natasha in the stairwell and Natasha falls at her teeth.
Yeah.
It's painful. I remember first watching that and just cringing because she breaks her tooth, right?
Yeah. Several, I think.
Yes. Yeah. In the lunch that they have, I think the next episode or whatever, Natasha talks about the dental surgery she had to have.
Yes. And it's such a good scene.
Because Carrie's trying
really
to like say
role.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Dovetailing on the affair episodes, I really do love when Big shows up at Aiden's country house.
Yeah.
She can reach me. I can't get to her. And he's like distraught about this actress. And he and Aiden wrestle out in the rain, in the mud, and then ultimately like have a mea culpa and wind up getting drunk.
Yes, the big wrestle.
I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a fun, big... Like, he didn't get to do, like, real comedy like that too often, and I thought that was very fun and funny.
Yeah, that was a special one, yeah. I'm also looking at a cheat sheet. Just today, Vogue randomly posted their top 23 episodes of Sex and the City. I don't know why 23, but and this is a good one. Season 2, episode 4, they shoot single people, don't they? That is when the famous awful magazine cover photo shoot.
Oh yeah,
right? Yes.
yeah.
That I feel like is such an image.
Single
like
and fabulous?
Question mark.
And just like that, it's time for this part of the episode to come to an end. But if you want to hear us talk about these Sex and the City movies and the new series and just like that, which you totally want to, head over to the Release Date Rewind YouTube page for part 2 of our discussion.
I love too when Big shows up at the diner to meet the girls, and it all comes down to Miranda, and Miranda just leans in and goes, "Go get our girl."
Yes.
I love it. I know. It's
I
so
know.
good.
Oh my God. I'm so giddy right now. One of my side jobs was hosting trivia. And one night I hosted Sex and the City trivia. Now, these questions I did not come up with. They were written for me from the company I used to work for. Hopefully they don't mind. I'm going to randomly look. I didn't even look at this, but there were 5 rounds of questions. So I'm going to ask you guys one question from each round. First question. This is just general knowledge this round. Where does Carrie meet Berger? That's right. What you just heard is just part 1. We have a whole part 2 waiting for you online. Other memorable moments from the series that we forgot to mention are Carrie's laptop crashing and she didn't back it up. I've been there, girl. I know how you felt. And I also used to have that same sleek black Mac PowerBook. Love that thing. Plus Samantha wearing a firefighter's uniform when the fire alarm rang. And then we had Miranda eating cake out of her garbage and ordering the same Chinese food takeout and then choking on her takeout and fearing dying alone. Oh yeah. Memorable in not such a good way is that episode featuring trans women. That one hasn't aged so well with Samantha yelling at them and some of the dialogue, some of the voiceover. Whoops. But anyway, thank you for listening to this show on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Thank you so much to my longtime gal pals Melissa Ward and Sarah Menekwal, plus Lori for your cameo. Video highlights of our conversation will soon be on Portland Media Center's website and YouTube page if you'd like to watch there. Thank you, PMC. Thanks, Straw Hut Media, Greg Clements, and Kyle Motzinger. And follow me on Instagram at Release Date Rewind for extras about Sex and the City and updates about Release Date Rewind. We're sticking by Sarah Jessica Parker's side because in the next episode of this show, we're heading to Salem to celebrate Hocus Pocus.